Right now, you're listening to the audio from the Talomen KITE-120. This is a dual microphone UHF signal system. Now, one thing I must disclose is this was sent for review, but of course, you are hearing the audio, no effects added. And one thing I'll be showing is many different audio tests, SPL, distance away, noise rejection, and many more. Now, let's get started. Yeah. This is a wireless dual microphone system. So this is the KITE-120-2 for two handheld system, and it has a signal to noise ratio of greater than 96 dB, which is really awesome. UHF signal. I actually like the color. It looks really nice. I like that whitish color with a nice gray trim. It adds a touch of beauty as far as I'm concerned. And it also comes with this VIP slip here. User manual with some details. The other one actually had a frequency response chart for the wired microphone. And then we have another card right here with Talomen. And we have dual mics. Here's the one. A lot lighter actually than the actual wired microphone, which is much heavier. And here's the second one. We have the power cord right here. By the way, this is a 12 volt power brick. And let's see right here. This mono 6.35 millimeter connection cable is about 3 feet long or 1 meter in length. And we have these for, I guess, mounting if you had a shelf or whatever. Stick it to a microphone. 2-cylinder rechargeable batteries. I wonder what kind of batteries these are. 1,200 milliamp hours. So unlike the other microphone that I did with this wireless system, this one actually has rechargeable batteries with USB Type-C recharging at the back end. I like that. Now to place the batteries, if I can. Spring-loaded, good. And on this side we see UHF. It looks like there's a button here too. I'll see what that is momentarily because I can't see it. High-low. High-low. This is really interesting. So it comes off further as well as partway. Let's check that out. Okay, let's see if I get that back on. There we go. And if I want to, I can hold this part and take this part off and see right here. Okay, let's see if we can see that foam. That foam should prevent plosives. I hope it works just as good as this because this was absolutely impressive of a microphone, the wired version here. This is the L-52, which I reviewed. Well, absolutely impressive at not getting plosives, not getting that poof, poof sound, poof, poof, poof. See? That plosives, that's the Sennheiser MKH50, and Sennheiser MKH50. About a $1,400 USD microphone. From my previous review, this is the Talomen L-52, an XLR wired microphone. And I believe this is just as heavy, if not heavier, than this larger microphone. And let's turn this on to see how it looks. There we go. And we're going to have to connect up this receiver. Oh, antennas. Also included are these two antennas. And that's for our UHF signal. So connecting it is just like another brand I reviewed. Spin, put on. Actually, I think this is actually easier to put on than the last one I reviewed from the other brand. So yeah, really easy to attach. Gonna power this on and listen to how this sounds in just a moment. But here we have the barrel for the power. Here we have a mono port, and we should have a balanced left and right speaker channel, I believe. Yes, balanced AB. There we go. So normally for a system like this, I would connect it to a mixer, to an audio interface, or to amplified speakers, not regular ones, but actual PA amplified speakers. An SPL test, because that's what I did the other microphone. And sorry, I'm trying to lower the volume so I can actually do an SPL test. Testing. So how am I coming through with my SPL test? Sound pressure level. Can you shout with this microphone? I don't know, and I want to be reasonable because I don't want to annoy everyone because I just can't because I'm in a house with a bunch of people. Okay, let's get this back up. I want to connect to my speakers now, and my speakers are iLoud micro speakers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 1/4 inch cable, and then I'm going to apply a 1/4 inch to our 6.35 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter to the back of my speaker, because I want to see if this works, and I bet it will. And the audio I'm going to record with my Sennheiser MKH-50 just so you can hear how it sounds through speakers. Right now the Talomen is connected, mixed out to these speakers behind me. I have the receiver here, and I have the microphone recording the speakers. So this is connected to the speakers here. I'm going to leave the room. And here, if we can still hear the audio when I leave the room. So now I'm out of the room, into another room. And can we hear me with this microphone through the speakers? We're recorded with the Sennheiser MKH-50. This is a test of the audio. How am I coming through? Boom. Mind blowing. One thing I must note about this audio, if you're not going through a mixer, not going through an audio interface, the volume level to your speakers is going to be very quiet. You need a real PA system, an actual amplified system, not just amplified speakers like I have here. They had okay volume, but it's honestly quite quiet. You'll want to use an audio interface if you want good volume, or a mixer to boost those volumes so you get proper volume through your speakers. So note that one. So right now I am recording the audio from my audio interface, which is the Universal Audio Apollo Twin X Gen 2 monitor out to my camera. And that is what you're hearing right now. How am I coming through? Right now I'm connected to the XLR AB balance ports, and right now we're listening to each of these microphones. You'll notice that I'm on left and right side audio. So this is what happens when you have two different speakers and you can separate your guests. So if you notice, my volume is very different from here to down here. And that's how left and right AB audio balance works. Now, if I wanted to, I could just go with mono and mix out rather than XLR A and B. And that way I can get the audio from just one or two speakers. I'm going to turn off the one microphone. Hold the power button there. Now I'm only through one speaker. But I do wonder one thing. Can I mute this microphone? One thing to note is, since this is not a mute button, it means you're not going to accidentally mute yourself, and you're going to either have the power on or the power off, so nothing changes by pressing the button. The high-low button right here, and I'll speak at the same time. I believe it changed the audio channel, so let's press that button, and did it change the audio channel? Wait, this time it did. Oh, what the heck did it do there? It did something. It changed to channel there. Yes, it changed my audio from channel 1 to channel 2. So if I wanted to change my speaker left or right, I hold down the high-low button. Interesting. So that's something new and different. Right now we're listening to the Talomen KITE-120 connected to my Universal Audio Twin X Gen 2, and I'm connected XLR out with monitor out to my camera, and that's the audio we're hearing right now. So how am I coming through using the microphone in this manner? Now let's listen to the silence to see if there's any hiss, but make sure you have stable volume turned off in YouTube settings, because if you don't, it will get very hissy. It's not my fault, it's YouTube's fault. Blame YouTube. Once you have it off, okay. I'm hoping you have stable volume turned off in your little settings cog, so we can listen to the silence to see how clean this is. I might have noise in the background a bit, but this, I believe, rejects enough noise. So let's listen to the silence for 5 seconds. Okay, that was a quick silence test to see if there's any hiss or any weird noises in the background of the signal here. And another thing I want to test is, what if I do some different frequency testing and S's? So let's try this out. The fox with socks jumped into the box. His fur shone like the sun. When the fox runs, he runs down, 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 down the darkish hole. Let's see if we can go high, 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 and let's see if we can go low, low, low. I don't know. Ooh, yeah. Time to test out noise rejection. First, let's start with snapping. Now let's move the mic around. Mic test 1 2 3. 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 Yeah. Mic test. Mic test. Mic test 1 2 3. So how did that come through? It seemed very noise rejecting looking at my metering wave lines on there. So I'm believing this actually, if you wanted to, I wouldn't suggest necessarily doing so, but if you had a mic holder, could you use it for game streaming, even with the noisy computer? I bet you can. Now let's do a mic distance test away. Right now, I'm about 10 centimeters away from this microphone. How am I coming through at only 10 centimeters away? Am I plosiving? In this mic? I have not a clue. Let's do plosive to see if it happens or not. And let's go now about 30 centimeters away from this microphone. How am I coming through? And let's try 60 centimeters away from this microphone. How am I coming through? 60 centimeters away is 2 feet away from my American or Canadian, some Canadian friends here. And I do live in Canada, by the way. And let's go close up. And let's go further away. And let's go close up. Yeah, that's the difference in in noise rejection for this microphone, which seems to be quite huge. And that could be quite good, unless you are one of those people that have a habit of moving the microphone further and closer. You want to keep it more so one spot. So now you know. For audio comparison, right now we're listening to the Talomen L-52. This is a wired dynamic microphone that does not use phantom power. How am I coming through compared to the Talomen KITE-120? Again, this is the Talomen L-52. This is a wired microphone and it is really good for singing. Of course, not professionally, but you can use it with good dynamic range, good sound, not the same noise rejection, which means I can actually move, say, back and forth in comparison. I'll leave a link in the description for a view of this microphone. Yes, a review of this microphone, as well as up here. This is not the first time I've been testing the reception distance. As soon as I walked outside, the audio had stopped. It was negative 22, but that shouldn't make a difference. So right now I'm sticking this in a different way in the window rather than up the window glass, and it's going to see how this goes. Now let's get out there. The camera's not held as well in place as I'd like, so it's going to be a bit of a, I guess, jiggly mess. I'm going to head out the door and hopefully the audio stays this time. Okay, now at the door, going to head outside. Oh. Now at the door, going to head outside. Okay. So hopefully this actually is not a problem this time. Hopefully. And I'm using a different phone. Placement of the receiver in a different place. And it's still too bright in the camera. This brightness on the camera is pretty crazy. I can see myself getting washed out from the brightness according to my histogram. So how am I? Hopefully decently. It's hard. It's so bright white. If you haven't already, remember to like and subscribe to Sparky Studio and help this channel grow. And if you are subscribed already or subscribing right now, then you, yes, you are awesome. Straight across, no walls blocking might have been decent and lived up to expectations, but going through a window, going through walls, when the audio cut out, it didn't simply reconnect like I hoped. So this is something Talomen can improve on to make this system better. I did the mix out to camera and I can record that, and that way I can actually avoid the sound of the crowd and recording through speakers, and this way I get the best audio quality possible directly to my camera, especially if you're recording someone speaking, maybe political, maybe educational, you know, whatever the case is. Can you use this for YouTube? Sure, you could. But I'd recommend, of course, the Talomen L-52 is to have something to hold the microphone, so we're not having to hold it, so we have our hands free, unless of course that's what you're going for. If you're doing an interview with someone else is holding the microphone, yes, this would work absolutely excellent. Just make sure you're not moving the microphone further away and closer up, and of course that your guest is holding it where it should be, basically at a certain distance away, because if not, and they're going like this, Well, you get the picture. The audio drops off dramatically for audio. So note that one use case will definitely make the difference. This is Eric of Sparky Studio. Thanks again for watching. Also check out the review of the Talomen L-52, and I'm dropping things right now. Have yourselves a most wonderful day. Talomen, 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 Talomen. Ba-bum, bum, bum, KITE-120.